What do you feel like is your greatest weakness?
My greatest weakness? I hate confrontation.
Oh, that was quick.
I know this about myself.
Really?
I've thought about it a lot.
Okay. Why do you think that that's a weakness?
I think it's a weakness because it makes me take too much on myself. And also because I hope to grow in my career someday to like be a manager or whatever, like get a promotion. And I mean, any promotion would likely involve me being in charge of some people.
Okay.
And so that is, eventually I'm going to be a manager of somebody who maybe is not meeting their potential.
Standards. Yeah.
Having to have hard conversations. And that's just not something that I'm very good at. It's something that I've had to practice a good bit because I more and more often have to have hard conversations with clients patients or family about setting realistic expectations. And that's never easy. And sometimes it makes people upset and that's fair. So it's something that I dread. It's something that I'm not very good at. But it's something that I'm working on.
I will say that I think that you have grown quite a bit in that area.
I'm not an assertive person.
Right. Well, not by nature, but you can be when you need to be.
Sure. Yeah.
Honestly, I would say in a lot of situations, you are more assertive than I am.
Sometimes.
Like the big one is just like with restaurants. Like I'm the type of person where if the food comes out bad or like not what I ordered, the traditional like, I'm not going to say anything, but you are going to stand up for yourself and myself and be like, hold on. What can we do about this? Not in a bad way, not in like a Karen way.
I'm not somebody who like will send food back.
No, but you like, if we paid for the food, like DoorDash, you're good. Right. Whereas I wouldn't even text the person.
Or like if we do DoorDash, it involves no interaction to put in the DoorDash app. I was missing a cookie.
But that just doesn't even come to my mind.
Yeah.
But you are assertive when it comes to like, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that you're so, I think that I lack the ability. The big thing, like one of the major stories from my youth was whenever we would go on a choir trip or something with high school where we would need to get a shirt, I just wouldn't tell anybody that I needed a larger size. So from freshman year, I got a medium. What was I doing getting a medium?
I mean, you were smaller freshman year.
Even in freshman year, I wasn't a medium. I was a large. So, but I refuse to ever step out and inconvenience anybody and say, hey, I'm an XL.
That's not an inconvenience. I think that's what you don't sometimes understand.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying.
Everybody was requesting a shirt.
And I felt...
including you.
But I said, they came around with a clipboard and it was like, still medium? And I was like, sure. And so I got like 12 shirts that were all way too tight for me to wear.
And no matter what you said, they were still going to have to write something on the clipboard. They were going to have to write an M or they were going to have to write an XL.
I think
it's not different.
There was something about it that was not right. That made me feel like I just didn't want to be a burden on anybody. But I do that all the time with food, with anything, orders and stuff like that. I'm so concerned with like my standing to this stranger that I'm talking to that I refuse to stand up for myself. Whereas I feel like you are very good at that.
I think you can take it too far in either way. You can never say anything for yourself, which is you. And then there are Karens who are rude, disrespectful, and entitled.
Yes.
And there's a happy medium of like asking for what you need, which is warranted in a situation, and then listening to the response and,
right.
Sometimes things aren't possible, and we do have to respect that.
Truth.
I am without getting out our phones and like filming people at work, which is stupid. You should never do that.
I mean,
there's balance.
I work in an industry, now with fitness. I'm in a big box gym, corporate gym, whatever. We deal with a lot of, but our business model. I don't even want to say the company's business model leads to a lot of that strife because it's so mysterious, like to cancel memberships and all. So I have to deal with a lot of that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I think, and there's this bit like, God forbid you ever ask for anything in a fast food restaurant it's like this is a crime tantamount to murder online. It is the public's, you should be flogged in the square if you ask a 16-year-old to fix the order.
Yeah.
This drives me insane.
Yeah.
You paid for something.
Yeah, you should
If
get
it's
what you paid
incorrect,
for.
you should be able to say, hey man, can I get a different burger? Without like everybody around you being like, oh my God, how could he ask this minimum wage work? Oh, come on.
It's really not a big deal if you paid for something. If you didn't receive it as specified, then you should be able to kindly ask for like, hey, there's a mistake, not a big deal, but can you please fix that mistake?
Right.
I mean, I don't feel like that's crazy.
Are correct in that there is a middle ground, but I have an issue just in general with like the cult of public opinion. I just hate it. I think it's so stupid, especially now that it's like always tacked on with like, if I upload this, maybe I'll become famous.
Right.
That's what just drives me absolutely insane. It's like, why do we have to first reach to our phone and film people when you're having a normal human interaction? Conflict is part of normal life. You're not, every now and again, you're going to come into conflict with somebody. And it's just like, it makes me so upset.
And I think by conflict, you just mean there's a problem. How can we solve it?
Right. Well, that's the other thing.
Conflict is not necessarily having a fight with somebody. Conflict is just, hey, this went wrong. Can you help me fix it? Can you provide a solution as an employee of this building?
And
that's what conflict is. I mean, it doesn't have to be contentious.
Because of this like escalation of putting everything online, everybody views conflict as like, oh my God, I'm going to get canceled because I asked for extra ketchup on my freaking cheeseburger. Right. It's like, that's conflict. That is at its base conflict.
Right.
But we have this definition of conflict that's like, look at this Karen screaming at these children. It's like, dude, it's just so dumb.
Yeah, it's just overreaction from every side.
I'm on the warpath today.
You are. I think you're not feeling well.
No, I feel garbage. Feel like garbage.
Yeah.
I'm at the end of my program. My body is just like, no more, please. I need a break. I'm taking a deload next week.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is like, this is weird, but I've been thinking about this a lot. My humor comes from overemphasis. So whenever we're doing these podcasts, as much as I would like it to be authentic, it's never going to be who I actually am. I'm always playing a character because
I think everybody's always playing a character.
True, but I'm saying like, because we're putting content out, I think it's funny when things are overemphasized. And I think a lot of people think that it's funny.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of times it can be more engaging to see somebody who's very like gregarious or charismatic. And
And I come from, my whole family's like this.
Yeah.
Everybody in my family is overemphasized. Like it's hilarious.
You're island people.
We just drum stuff up. So when I say that we should take, people who film people and execute them, that's a
not
joke.
Real.
It's not real. I'm overemphasizing it. But the problem is there is no room for nuance on like when you're putting yourself out there. Everybody who views that thinks this is this person 100%. A stupid example, but I watch the Game Grumps a lot.
Okay.
It's like one of my favorite YouTube channels. I've been watching them since I was a kid. I think it's more so nostalgia now.
Yeah.
Kid is the wrong word. Since I was in college.
Yeah.
So I keep watching them just because they feel like friends.
Yeah.
But Aaron, one of the Game Grumps, is always upset. And it baffles me, the amount of people in the comments that don't realize that he's doing a bit.
It's a bit, yeah.
He's not he's doing a bit.
Like he doesn't really care that much.
The central conceit of the show, it's called Game Grumps. He's supposed
grumpy.
to be upset at the show.
He's grump. Dan is not so grump.
And Dan is supposed to be like, it's okay.
He's not so grump.
It's a show.
Yeah, it's not that serious.
I think this damn YouTube generation, whatever you want to call it, these kids that grew up with access to these celebrities more so than we've ever had, right? If you went in the 80s and saw a movie, that was all you knew the person from.
And it's a movie, you know that it's fictitious.
But now we have Twitter, we have YouTube, we have vlogs, we have Instagram Live, which is supposedly an inside look at this person's life.
Right.
Hate to say it to you.
This is who they really are.
They're putting on an act.
Right.
In whatever forward-facing thing they're doing, you are never going to know the authentic person.
No. Of course not.
And that applies to us.
Yeah.
Even though we're 40 people are going to watch this podcast.
We're public figures.
Those 40 people are not going to see who you and I are on a day-to-day basis.
No, they're never going to be in our home when it's just the two of us.
Right. or like in an interaction with someone that we actually know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why am I talking about this? Because
I don't know.
Just to say, like, when I go crazy and on these rants, just know that it's based in a kernel of truth. But
you're grump. I'm not so grump.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to play it up because God, why would you guys want to watch a podcast where it's just like, oh, well, a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
And that's why I'm the guest of the podcast and not the host of the podcast, because I don't have that.
No, but I feel like we're co-hosts. But you bring a very measured response.
It's your channel. And I'm never going to be somebody who's over the top and, hyperbolic. I mean, that's just not me.
I think that's why our relationship works very well, is because I strike out and you reel me back in.
Well, and you help me to come
Get
out of my
a little bit more juice.
I think you've helped me a lot with having being more comfortable with hard conversations or speaking my feelings. So I think that we balance each other out pretty well.
For sure. Well, that's what
which
we're
I
talking
think is
about.
a beautiful thing.
We're talking about your assertiveness, but I do think that
I think you have made me a lot more assertive.
Well, I want you to battle for yourself because no one else is going to do it.
Very true.
Even though I am 100% on your team and behind you, I'm not in those meetings at work. I'm not talking to your clients for you.
And you're not going to be.
Never. So you have to be the one to take responsibility for yourself. And I noticed hey, you kind of let this slide when maybe you should have stood up for yourself a little bit more. And we talk about this and it's always out of love, but it's like, dude.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that a previous manager of mine has told me too.
Yeah.
It's during a performance review. It's like, you have done great with everything. And I think you have potential to be a manager or a unit director one day. And this is what I think you should work on so that you can, at some point be ready to take that on.
Yeah.
And she's somebody who's a couple years older than me and has had some managerial experience. And she told me that. And so I really took that to heart, and because she's right, and I knew that she was right.
But what's great is you have not only taken it to heart, but you have put into actions to get into these difficult conversations. You're not seeking conflict, but you're not shying away from conflict. You are having these hard, difficult conversations, and that's how you build the skill.
Right.
No one is born with the ability to have these hard conversations, right? Okay, I was tuned to it better because my home life was more combative. That's just it. We had these harder conversations. My parents, my brother, my sister, we butted heads a lot. So we were used to, your home life was not very much like that.
Yeah.
So you had to learn in a different way, right? But no one is hardwired to be like, I love conflict.
I think that would be very rare.
I don't know. My greatest weakness, because we've been talking about yours for 15 minutes, I think my greatest weakness, I would say, is probably just my inability to go with the flow. My inability to just allow life to kind of take me, which is the wrong way to say it, because I do think that you need to lead life where you want it to go. But in a lot of situations, you're not going to have that control.
Right. And I think that really bothers you.
Well, it just causes a lot of anger.
Yeah.
Traffic, being in lines, these types of things where it's like, I have no control over this. I perceive this as a waste of my time. Because for some reason, as I continue to get older and as I continue to put content out and just, I think it comes from the fact that I know how long it takes to make a change in terms of time. I always filter things through the lens of fitness. So whenever time is taken away from me, or I feel like time is taken away from me, I just am so upset because what could that time have been put towards that would have helped me get where I wanted to be instead of sitting in 30 minutes of traffic.
Right.
But I need to realize that that's also part of life.
Yeah. Well, you know what that kind of makes me think of is, so my friend who taught me how to crochet, my little friend, there was a point where I had gotten pretty good at it and I was working on a lot of projects, and I was telling her that I had, worked really hard on something and it didn't turn out quite right. So I had to rip out hours worth of work.
Yeah.
And I was really frustrated by that because it negatively impacted my productivity with my craft and whatever. And she looked at me and she said, it doesn't matter.
Well,
it's a hobby.
Right.
You need to, she basically told me, and this is not the words that she used, but she's like, you need to calm down, chill out. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be productive at all times in your life. It's a hobby.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's so true. It's do you want to sit in an extra 20 minutes of traffic? No.
Right.
But did you need that time to do something else? Not really.
Probably not. Exactly.
You know?
So what I do
so
now.
it's not a big deal.
What I do now is like, because a big thing for personal trainers, especially if you work at a gym, is there's going to be a lot of gaps in your schedule. You work on the client's time, right?
Yeah.
So when I first started training at a gym, I would have somebody at like 6 a.m. and my next person would be like 9:30.
Yeah.
So there's 3 hours right there, right? And when I first started working at the gym, I lived far away that I couldn't drive home and
20
come back,
minutes
right?
away.
Now I have that opportunity, but back then it was like, what in the world? Why do I have to sit here and waste time? Mm-hmm. And then I realized, like, oh, if you go home, you're just going to sit on your phone or you're going to play video games. Like, what is that going to do, right? Mm-hmm. So then I was like, okay, well, let me go for a walk. Let me read. There's stuff that can be done. So I don't know. It just...
Not every minute of your day has to be totally productive in the way that you would like it to be.
Right. True. And that's something that I'm really trying to work on.
There are times when you're, like when you're at work or, when you're working towards a goal, when that's totally warranted to want every minute to be as productive as it can be. But 24 hours a day doesn't need to be, perfectly regimented. It's not possible.
There's so much variance because we are not alone on this planet. Everyone else is acting in their own way. And those actions will sometimes get in the way of your actions.
And that's fine.
That's fine.
It's not that serious.
Exactly.
It's a hobby. I tell myself that a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's important. It's something that's another weakness of mine is I just want to be accomplishing things all the time.
I agree.
And you don't have to.
No, that's the thing. You just don't have to. So that's something that I'm trying to work on a little bit more, trying to get a little bit more zen.
Go with the flow.
Yeah, go with the flow a little bit. All right, I want to talk a little bit about something we touched on a couple weeks ago because I have a couple corrections to make.
Oh, okay. So, interesting.
An update on semaglutide and Ozempic and all that stuff. So last episode when we talked about this, I think I expressed concern with this drug because I had heard that it was disproportionately removing muscle tissue.
Okay.
So the weight loss was coming not just from fat mass, but also from muscle mass.
Okay.
In a 1-to-1 ratio. Mm-hmm. Now, I had heard that from a doctor on Instagram, but I need to catch myself in these moments because, like we talk about, the hierarchy of evidence is incredibly important. Mm-hmm. So I heard one doctor say one thing, and I had a logical fallacy of appealing to authority and said, okay, if he said it, he knows what he's talking about.
He's a doctor.
Then it's got to be real, right? Mm-hmm. And this is a big problem that we run into with a lot of these doctors that put content out and appeal to their own degree or whatever. But this is rampant on social media. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times they have good intentions, I would like to say.
A lot of times they are very smart. They did go to medical school.
Right.
That's not nothing.
But they're speaking outside of their practice. They're speaking outside of their field of research. They've heard something that, or they're talking out of their own experience.
Nobody's perfectly knowledgeable. I think that's something that we all need to understand.
I'm not trying to demonize these people, but I'm saying that it's on you as the consumer and it's on me as the consumer to understand in the hierarchy of evidence, this is one anecdotal person's view. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the overall quality of the evidence, that doesn't really bear out. So Ozempic, in the couple studies that they have done after, it's still being researched, right? So we're not on 100% solid footing. It doesn't seem to work that way.
How does it work?
If you are applying any type of weight loss, if you are applying any type of caloric deficit, you are going to have muscle wasting.
Yes.
That's why it's so impactful when we talk about going on a deficit or going on a cut as a bodybuilder to increase your protein and have a rigorous resistance training program. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing. It's the same principle.
Okay.
So I was demonizing the drug.
But that's just the physiologic mechanism.
That's just the physiologic mechanism. So if you're using the drug and you are counseled to also include a resistance training program or increase your protein intake, then you are not going to lose muscle wasting more so than we would see on a normal diet.
In any person who was eating less.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, I may come on this podcast 2 episodes from now and see a new piece of evidence that's taken us in another direction. Mm-hmm. I think the other thing that I have to be very careful of, because we do talk about a lot of these things, and I love to get in the weeds with the studies. It's one study. Mm-hmm. It's one study on one cohort of people in one area at one moment in time. Mm-hmm. There could be another on another group of people that takes the evidence in the other direction. Mm-hmm. So this is why when I give me the benefit of the doubt when I'm talking about this type of stuff, because the evidence base shifts. This research is so incredibly new, but Ozempic, I think, has a great opportunity to help a lot of people who are really struggling with their weight.
Yes. People who are very, very overweight.
People who are overweight, who are dealing with type 2 diabetes, who are really in the risk zone for these metabolic disorders. I think it can be a great tool to kickstart you and help, But again, there's always inherent danger. But who are we watching recently that was like, if it doesn't have a side effect, it doesn't work?
Who said that?
Well, it's one of the doctors we were reaching.
Oh, I don't know.
But basically, if it's not doing anything, it's not doing anything. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting point of view.
There's always going to be inherent risks and risk of side effects because we are acting upon a physiological system with an external source.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's important that I specifically, as someone who is trying to give good advice, say, one, this is outside of my scope of practice. I'm never going to prescribe this drug to anybody. I'm not a medical doctor. You should not listen to me, a personal trainer, a strength coach, over a doctor. But then also understand that the doctor may not have the full weight of evidence behind them as well. It's on you. This is the problem in this country, is that we do not take our own health into account. We ship it out to somebody else or some other person or authority figure. It's on you.
Right. I think if you're going to do something in your life, you should do it on the recommendation of somebody who's more knowledgeable than you. But that doesn't take away the fact that it warrants you researching the options for yourself.
Exactly.
Well, and that's what helps you have an informed conversation with your primary care provider is, if you've done some preliminary research about this option, and some pros and cons, then you can talk with your provider and say, okay, these are the things that I've researched and found out. This is what I'm leaning towards, but this is my concern. What do you think? Do you recommend the same course of action? And then you can have a much more productive discussion and actually come to a decision that serves the goals that you have.
Right. I think it becomes, unfortunately, it's dangerous because not only in the medical field, but in a lot of these fields, the authority figure doesn't want to hear any of that. Again, I cannot guarantee that you're going to get into a doctor's office and they're going to be the best doctor in the world and be able to listen to you. Right. A lot of doctors don't do that. A lot of personal trainers don't do that. We've talked about
Well,
this.
and I was going to say, it's just like what we've talked about with personal trainers. If you find that they're not listening to you, find a different
somebody
one.
else. Right. And that sucks.
It does suck, and it's time consuming, and it's not always easy, but
it's on you.
But the benefit that you get from taking the time to find a different provider who is going to listen to you and who is going to really help you and really care about you, that is priceless.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Well, as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about the people that have had the most success with my coaching are the people that come to me with specific questions, that have done extra research, right? That have said, or even looked at the program and said, why are we doing it like this or that? If you are so prideful as a coach that the minute somebody asks,
what I do.
Right, that's ridiculous. Why do we do squats first instead of this and that? If you, one, cannot answer that question, and two, you see that as an affront to your knowledge or your ability to coach, you're in the wrong profession. That's so stupid. Because again, it is that individual's results at the end of the day. You're not going to stand on stage with them. You're not going to do the squat, bench, and deadlift on competition day with them. So it's on them to take an active role in their training. They need to come to you with these questions. And the people that do that are the ones that see exponential growth. The people that just sit back and listen to everything that I say, I'm a great coach, but you got to give me variables. You've got to give me feedback or it's not going to work as well. That's the thing. Take advantage of the person you have in front of you. That's what you're paying them for.
Yeah. You're paying them for their expertise, but you also have to take ownership of the time that you spend with somebody.
It's a coach-client relationship is only as strong as the client's ability to communicate with the coach.
It's 100%. A two-way street.
It absolutely is. Yeah. And, I am very fortunate that I have a lot of people on my roster that are really, really good communicators. Like stuff that I have grown and now ask other clients that they have brought to me. These questions that I didn't even think about, especially as a male coach. I coach a lot of females. So when we're talking about hormonal cycles and periods, I had no base of knowledge on any of that. And I worked very closely with one of my clients to talk about, okay, well, how do you feel like this? And 3 weeks in versus 4 and what,
Yeah.
And now I have more of a base of knowledge. Again, that may change with another female client, but I have a base of knowledge to attack that question from.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and that's not really I can answer basic questions about that, but I don't lift like your clients lift.
Right, exactly.
So there's, there was kind of a point where I couldn't really help you anymore.
The specific example was we were scheduling, I like to schedule a 6-week block of training.
Yeah.
And towards the end of that block of training, as we're talking, I was like, okay, we're going to get pretty heavy here. And she said, oh, well, this is the end of my cycle. Mm-hmm. And usually,
so that's not going to work for
me. Usually when I reach the end of my cycle, I feel pretty run down, right? I said, oh, I didn't even think about that. Okay, so maybe we move this and that around, right? And now, and
that's a productive conversation.
There's been a lot of research on this specifically. I would recommend if you're a woman and you're trying to get better in the gym, then I would recommend that you seek this out, because a lot of times the research dictates that you're kind of overblowing it a little bit, or giving yourself an excuse is the better way to put it.
Okay.
And this happens with me all the time too, where I will have a poor night's sleep and then in my head, I'll be like, oh, this session's going to be bad. So there's this chicken or egg situation where if you know you're on your period and then you go into the gym and you're telling yourself, I'm on my period, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
Yeah. And it's like, but maybe if you went in the mindset of, I'm on my period, I'm going to be gentle with myself, but I'm going to see what I can do. You might end up doing a little bit better.
Physiologically, it doesn't seem like there's much of a difference in terms of like protein synthesis or anything. But that doesn't mean that you just don't feel crappy.
Oh yeah, you totally feel crappy.
Exactly. So that can affect you. So even if the mechanisms aren't being affected by it hormonally at a molecular level, your physiology and your mentality could be off, right?
Yeah.
So it's very individual. All that to say, if I had never had that conversation with this person, I would have sent her in there to go for like a 1 rep max. She would have felt bad. She maybe would have failed the lift, and then we're 6 weeks of progress out the window.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a great point.
Bring these questions to your coaches. Bring these topics to your coaches, or you will not get the most out of coaching. Mm-hmm. So that's, and my opinion on Ozempic is talk to your doctor about it. Mm-hmm. If you are really, 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 really struggling to control weight through behavior modification, through any number of other options, then this is a fantastic option for you.
It might be the kickstart that you need.
If you are a Malibu mom who just wants to lose 5 pounds,
maybe not.
Maybe not.
But it's your body.
It's your body. You can do what you want.
Do what you want.
I'm not your dad. All right. Fitness question.
Okay.
So I bring this fitness question up again to answer the question, but also to start another discussion.
Oh.
Yesterday, my mom asked me to cut the lawn. Been a while since I cut the lawn, to be honest, and I tried to do it anyway. Not even halfway through, my lower back begins to kill me. Had to lay down and catch my breath for a bit. I'll be honest. I sit on my ass all day and play video games, but it felt like a big wake-up call. I weigh 235 pounds and I got to change this. I decided I'm going to start daily walks and stretches that can help the lower back. Any videos or lower back stretches or recommendations or other types of cardio I should do will be really helpful. Thank you.
Oh, that's really great, actually.
That's why I wanted to talk about this.
I love that because it's somebody who had a specific problem.
Yes.
Decided, okay, this is it. This is what I want to be able to do.
Are you a mind reader?
Well, no.
This is exactly what I wanted to talk about.
But yeah, and the reaction is not, I'm going to lift really heavy weights and I'm going to do this. I'm just going to make an easy change that can fit into my life. And maybe it grows from there. Maybe I do become a bodybuilder. But for now, I'm going to be a little bit more active. I'm going to walk around and I'm going to stretch.
Yep.
That's so easy.
I saw this question.
It's so manageable.
And I almost just went past it and tried to find a new one because it's not very
exciting.
But I think there's so much value in that trigger moment of this is the thing that's going to make me try and put a behavior change in place. Mm-hmm. So there's so much value in that.
And I think what he did that was really correct is making a small change. Yeah. He's not overhauling his life. He's not starting a 5-day-a-week exercise program and doing yoga every day and doing a complete diet overhaul.
Right.
Right. It's just a small change. Yeah. I'm going to walk and I'm going to stretch for 5 minutes. That's so easy.
I think.
And he's going to do it. And that's great.
Well, that's the thing is I read that story.
He's going to be able to do it.
And if you put that story up against what you said earlier about the full changes, in my head, this person over here is going to be more successful. Now, that doesn't mean that if you try and do a massive overhaul and go cold turkey on food and that you're not going to have success, but it's going to be more difficult.
It's going to be a lot harder.
So a lot of the times you've got to ask yourself, I got into this, weight. I got into this lack of fitness. Am I really the type of person that's going to respond well to a massive overhaul? You have to be honest with yourself.
I think this person shows a lot of insight.
Very much so.
Just like you said, I sit around playing video games all day. I don't really do much activity. That's why I'm having such a problem with this.
I'm going to do a little bit of
So I'm going to do some activity.
Right.
Like, that's such a good logical step.
It's great self-awareness.
There's great insight and self-awareness, and there's really smart, logical goal selection.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I think because we're in such an all or nothing culture or moment in time, at least, I don't know, I say this. Do you feel like that?
I guess.
I feel like,
I don't know.
What I'm being pushed, I guess, on social media is like, change your life. Get up at 4 a.m. Like the massive,
I have
this is what I see all the time.
Girls like that. My productive 5 a.m. routine.
Right.
It's like, good for you.
Here's
I guess.
the thing. More power to you.
Yeah, good for you. It works for you.
But the
I'm
problem
not doing
is,
that.
I think a lot of people see that as the only avenue for change. And when you're presented with Mount Everest or the hill in your backyard, if all you see is Mount Everest, you're like, I'm not climbing that.
There's no way I'll ever do
chance.
that.
I know who I am. I'm lazy. I'm this, I'm that. I'm not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But if you see the hill in the backyard, you're like, oh yeah, dude.
I could do that.
I could climb that. No doubt. And then you climb the next hill. Mm-hmm. But we're presented with this is the only option to make a change. And I love that. I do like there's a part of me that likes.
I think it's great to have lofty goals, but that can't be your only target.
Well,
you have to have something manageable that you can do right now.
I think the power of this like Instagram movement or whatever is like, it's an example that yes, people can do this. Mm-hmm. So yes, maybe 2 years down the road, you are a 4 a.m. wake up, run a mile person.
But you're not going to do it tomorrow.
But tomorrow, you're not going to be that person. 99.9% of the time.
And that nobody could make that kind of change overnight.
There's no negative judgment on that.
No.
So more power to you, man. I will say in terms of the back, let me just say, stretching might not be the best course of action.
Yeah, strengthen your lower back.
Strengthening. It would probably be more impactful. Now, again, I don't know what your spine looks like, if you have a bulging disc or whatever, if you need to go through more extensive rehab, but to experience what you experienced while you were mowing the lawn is more so a strength issue. Mm-hmm. Like if you're getting a terrible lower back pump or a lot of lower back pain, it's not so much that you were inflexible to get into that position. Mm-hmm. It's that in that position, your muscle is not strong enough to carry you through the volume of work that you need to be doing.
Right.
So in that way, I think stretch, sure, it might make you feel better, but also the next step may be, okay, well, now I'm going to do some strengthening exercises.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, that might be step 2.
And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I mean, for God's sake, get a couple gallon jugs and do some Romanian deadlifts. Mm-hmm. Like you don't have to go. That's the other thing. You don't have to go to the gym.
Yeah. No.
You can do these things at home. You see all these people online making like barbells out of concrete and people in Africa that are just like working out with whatever they have around them.
Yeah.
And what a wake up call for us. It's like, oh, I don't want to drive in the
I don't
car.
have the money for $100 a month, gym membership. Well, okay. You can do something.
But even
I'm sure you've got a couple heavy things around the house.
I'm saying even in the land of privilege that you live in, where you do have the money to get a gym membership, you're driving your Audi R8 air conditioned 5 minutes to the gym, and then you're going there and standing on the treadmill for 5 minutes and you're like, oh, I hate this. I don't have patience for it. I just don't have patience for it.
Yeah.
Because there are people all over this earth in nations that are war-torn or poverty-stricken that are still doing 1,000% better than you. I don't have patience for it.
Yeah, we're very blessed in general.
Incredibly so.
Very lucky.
And we fritter it away like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else. I'm telling you right now, travel somewhere else and see what these people are doing to make it through a day and to take care of themselves in a lot of cases. And you will come back, and if you're still like, I don't really want to go to the gym, go
Fine.
for it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not your dad.
Yeah, nothing's perfect, but we are very blessed.
Sorry, I'm on a rant, man. I'm ranting,
You
baby.
are, man. You're on it today.
And I'm about to go even deeper with this relationship advice.
Oh gosh.
question.
Oh, and that's long.
Well, I just want to talk about one thing.
Okay.
My significant other, male 34, has informed me that his dog will always win over me, female 24.
Dump him.
Amen. For context, my boyfriend has been with me for almost 2 years. His dog has been with him for 3 years and has always been a little jealous of me being around.
The dog has been jealous?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
At first, I didn't really care. It's his dog. And now at this point, I don't want to go back to trying to win over the dog. Okay, so she tried to, she growls at me if I walk by. So the dog really doesn't like her. It's like 10 paragraphs. I'm trying to condense it a little bit. The dog bit her. What? I'm not a stranger to this dog. I'm over several days a week at his house and have not done anything to harm or upset the dog besides sternly telling it to leave the bedroom. After I told my boyfriend about her biting me, he sided with the dog, saying I'm a stranger and still I don't know her or show enough love for the dog to like me. And in the same conversation, wait, you thought you were ever going to be above the dog? That dog will always win above you. Then proceeded to shun me out of his house and no longer wants me to be there if he's not there.
Dump him.
I can't help but think valuing an animal above a partner in this situation feels wrong. I'm not asking him to get rid of the dog or do anything like that. I just want to know I have someone who is on my side when I didn't do anything wrong to the dog. Now I have to worry, what if kids were brought into this equation? Or what if I want to move in? I don't feel safe. I will never value an animal above his life. So I don't understand his point of view. I disagree with his take on this, and it makes me upset. I feel as if my stance is justified.
I agree.
Of course it is.
Of course your stance
This is an
justified.
insane person.
Listen, I love animals. I think that animals
Dude,
are...
I don't.
Listen, I think animals are great.
Send them.
They are not above people.
Thank you.
Dude,
I was activated when I read this.
Yeah.
Idea.
Dogs are wonderful. I love dogs. Dogs are great. Have a dog. Love your dog. But
send
people
the dog
are
down
more
the river.
Important.
I mean, for goodness sakes, man.
I mean, I feel like there's an opportunity to maybe help the dog like your girlfriend. No. But your partner of several years should take precedence over your puppy.
I usually like to take both sides here. This is a full-on crazy
I don't
person.
see the other side on
There's
this
no
one.
other side on this.
No.
I don't care.
Yeah.
This infatuation that we have with our pets, it's like, okay, cool. They're your pet, bro. They have no cognition. It's been taught to love you. Okay? You give it food.
You've conditioned
and
it.
a Pavlovian response is for it to cuddle up next to you. It has no feelings. It doesn't love you. Holy cow.
I don't know that I agree with that completely.
They are conditioned beings. It's not real.
I think this is a chance of you being hyperbolic.
I'm being a little hyperbolic.
I think that pets bring a lot of enjoyment and quality of life.
Cool. You know what else does? A partner in life, a human being.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm on your side here.
Man.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe there's an opportunity for you. You love this dog. I'm assuming you also love your partner, although I'm really not sure.
I don't think so. I truly do not think so.
But maybe they're just, okay, you and my dog are really not getting along. Maybe we have a little family play date. Maybe, I help you give the dog some treats so that we can condition it to like you.
I am activated.
Yeah, it's like clearly there's some tension here, but what can we do to solve it versus, no, I picked the dog.
What world are we living in?
That's crazy.
What world are we living in? This is 2 years. This is this is not like
this
first
is not
date.
Right.
You know what I mean?
This is not a month in.
First date, she comes over and she's like, I don't like dogs. Okay,
yeah.
Sure.
Pick the dog.
2 years
You've only had the dog a year longer than you've had this girlfriend.
What in the world is going on with your brain?
Dump him.
Send him.
Dump him.
There's nothing else to be said. You got to find somebody else.
Yeah.
This is miserable. This is a 34-year-old human man.
Dump him.
Are you
That's
kidding
so
me?
Yeah.
I first read it and I didn't see the ages and I was like 18 to 21, maybe. The guy.
Yeah.
34?
Yeah, that's crazy.
You're 34 years old and
you're
you said,
picking a dog.
I'm picking the dog. Hello? Hello?
It's my, I guess, opinion that in life, if you're with somebody, they are your number one.
Yes.
Like your
Or
parents aren't your number one anymore. Your kids aren't your number one. Your dog certainly isn't your number one.
Yeah. The
You
partner
and that
is.
person are a partnership.
Or
And they
why are
are
you
your
in the
number
partnership?
one. Right.
That
If you're in a partnership and somebody else is number one in your life,
something wrong.
that's not a partnership.
That's something wrong.
Right. I just don't think it can work.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Is that a controversial opinion?
I think it is.
What?
Yeah. I think there are some people who probably think your kid should be above your partner.
Baloney.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. I think your kid should be very important to you.
Sure. I'm not saying that the
But
kids
you're
are on
not.
the same level as this dog here.
Right.
But I'm saying
I think your
Baloney.
kid should be a close second
there are people that
to your
feel like
spouse.
that.
I'm sure there are.
Wow.
Let us know in the
Yeah,
comments.
let us know if you want to bring some heat to me right now.
I mean, if you don't agree, then
I feel like
fine.
I'm gonna get some heat from my dog take.
People don't
so.
have to agree with me. I don't really care, but
No, exactly.
that is my stance.
I'm with you.
I think that that's how you build a strong partnership that's going to outlast the difficulties of life.
My question is if your kids are first.
Your kids are going to be teenagers and they're not going to like you anymore.
Well, that and also like how are you gonna gain any like in my mind a relationship and a partnership is like I gain fulfillment from you.
Mm-hmm.
You gain fulfillment from me. If your kid is that, it's a 3-year-old child.
What do you need the other person for? Yeah.
What's the kid gonna give you?
They're 3.
Hey, give me some porridge. I'm hungry. Oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you're number one in my life.
Yeah. I'm not saying that your kids should not be important to you. That's not what I'm saying.
No, obviously not.
I just want to be very clear about that.
Well, good, but I think everybody's on board with you on that. Obviously, your kid should be, I don't know, maybe number 2.
Absolutely.
More so than your own parents at that point.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing.
Sorry, Mom.
Well, they know.
I think my mom would agree with me.
Yes.
Mom, feel free to comment on this video.
Parents understand, or at least should. My thing is like the other side of this is when the parent is more important than the spouse.
And that I think is
That's
a lot of times
huge
a
problem.
big problem.
But again, I can see that more than I can see the dog.
Absolutely.
Holy cow.
I can absolutely understand having a difficult transition between your parents being, maybe number one to a partner or a spouse. I can understand that.
Well, we got married very young.
We did.
In like both of us were still living at home when we got married and then we moved into our own apartment.
Yes.
Together, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that would have been the moment where the transition would have been very difficult.
Yeah.
But I think our parents did a very good job, both of us being like, you're done.
Yeah, you're go on.
You see this person?
You're
this
married
is
now.
your person now.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
At least on my side. I'm very close with my parents and it was like
I am too.
my mom was like, bro.
You need
over
to
there."
talk to her about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably
Because
yeah.
that's a great point. I used to bring a lot of my problems to my mom.
As did most people.
And so I think I'm not 100. I don't remember, but I'm sure there was a moment where I brought a problem to my mom and my mom was like, you got a wife, dude. Go ask her. Like, what are you doing?
Probably. Yeah. Well, and I think that's very normal. And it was never anything where I was being like undermined. It was just your
No.
natural. You had
My natural response
like you had
was-
a bad day. You
Yeah.
had a problem. And so you called your mom.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And I would never be upset about that.
No, that's not what I'm trying to say. But what I'm saying
Yeah.
is,
But that was your first reaction. And I think your mom probably had to stop you and say, son, I'm so glad you called me and I'm always happy to talk to you about, difficult things. But have you talked to Sarah?
I think that was exactly the response.
Yeah.
But,
And I think that
my
was
mom was a little bit more hyperbolic. Like, what the hell are you talking to me for? Go talk to your wife.
That's probably
That's almost verbatim what my
That's
mom
what
said.
she said, and this is what she meant.
Yes, exactly.
I think.
Sarah's a good mom translator.
And yeah,
But
Anyway.
I have this hilarious picture of this man coming home from a tough day of work and just talking to the dog
and
while
I'm
his
picturing
spouse is sitting right next to him.
I'm picturing like a mangy little yippy,
yeah, does
dog.
she say, I hope it's one of those small rat dogs. I hope it's not even like a dog. It's like a cat, basically. Does she say? Oh, it's a Doberman. Yikes.
Oh, ooh.
And that dog bit your spouse,
and you're taking the dog side? Oh my gosh.
This can't be
sorry
real.
If I
you just blew the mic out, but that's
so
fine.
sorry.
That's a lot. You're allowed.
I apologize to our headphone wearers.
This cannot be real. This has to be fake.
I really hope not. I mean, I
don't want to live in a world where there are human beings that are doing this.
If your long-term boyfriend's Doberman bites you and he goes, takes the side of the dog,
I'm always going to put this dog above you. Those were his exact words.
Because I was bit once by a medium-sized dog, and
oh, you were?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been bit by a dog.
And it was like a play by. I was walking, and the dog and his owner were walking past me, and I think it was probably a puppy.
Yeah.
So it was really a play bite. But it broke the skin in multiple places.
Wow.
And I don't think the owner even knew because it wasn't like a malicious thing. But when I got home, it did break the skin. So I washed it and
you didn't get rabies.
I stole some antibiotic cream from work the next day. I didn't steal it. The wound care nurse gave it to me.
I remember this.
This is in Tallahassee.
I remember.
But I mean, it really hurt, and it wasn't even like a full
bite
chomp.
Dude, imagine.
Yeah, that probably really hurt and probably was very scary.
Dude, this is crazy, man.
Yeah, no, dump him.
Dude, I hope if there's somebody watching this that thinks that we are incorrect, I gotta hear from you. I have got to hear from you.
I know that there are people that I know of specific people.
Listen, I will not blast you in the I just want to hear if this is in any way, shape, or form justifiable. There's no way.
I don't think it is.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You know what's gotten me so mad?
What?
It was Mother's Day a couple weeks ago. When was it? Last week.
Last week. 1 week ago.
And I see all these stupid posts about dog moms. And that already just makes me mad. I'm like,
really?
Yes,
It's not that big of a deal.
This is another thing. It's not that big of a deal.
This is you not going with the flow. Let people love their dogs.
Live their own life and let them love their dogs. But I swear to God, if you the worst is people posting in the voice of their dog a Mother's Day message
to themselves.
That's
pretty cringe.
Pretty cringe. Certifiable.
I don't think it's certifiable.
Dude, are you kidding me?
It's a little weird.
That is an absurd situation.
It's pretty weird.
Oh, man. I don't know. I had dogs growing up. I don't hate dogs. This episode comes out as me just being like anti-dog.
Yeah, you just seem very anti-dog. We both grew up with dogs.
I grew up with a ton of dogs, and I enjoyed my time with them. Will we ever have a dog again? No.
No.
You're allergic, and I really could care less at this point.
They're a lot of work, and they're a lot of money, and we just don't feel that attached to them.
That's the other thing. $10,000 at the vet for freaking put the dog down.
No.
Babe, if you walk in there and the you have, I don't know what happened. Some dog had cancer that we knew, and it was like a $20,000 procedure to keep the dog alive. And I was like, bro, you've had enough time with the dog. The dog's in pain.
Put him on doggy hospice.
Put him on doggy hospice, juice him up, give him some bones, and let him go.
You know, the last week of Zoe's life, Mom was feeding her McDonald's cheeseburgers.
Yeah, good. That's a good way to go.
Yeah. And she was a toy poodle, like 5 pounds. So one cheeseburger would last her like 5 days.
5 days.
Yeah.
Good for her. Listen, I don't hate dogs, but I am going to be hyperbolic in this moment.
You don't hate dogs, but you also think that people are more important than dogs. I don't think that's a hot take.
Come for me in the comments. I will stand on this ground.
Yeah,
Human beings have more value than dogs.
Come for us if you think that dogs are more important than people.
I'd love to hear from you, man. Goodness gracious.
If you would pick your dog over your girlfriend of 2 years, let me know.
I got to stop picking questions that are going to activate me so much. But I picked this one on purpose. I was like, I'm itching for a fight.
I just love that you read the first 6 words and I was like, no, I've made my decision.
Yeah, you were
dump
out
him.
on him easy.
I don't think you
money.
even finished the first sentence. Like, dump him.
What did you? Yeah.
What did you say? Like, my boyfriend said he'll.
Usually by trying to get. Oh no.
No, it was like my boyfriend, 34 male.
Oh yeah.
At the very beginning.
This is the title. My 34-year-old male boyfriend has informed me that his dog will always win over me.
Dump him.
And you're just out.
Dump him.
Oh,
the title. That was all I needed to know.
Well, hopefully that lady is no longer with them.
I hope she's with someone who values her as a human being.
It can't be real. I just think everything.
I really
on Reddit
hope
is
it's
fake.
not.
You
really do.
Fake.
And I believe everything.
Why?
I don't know.
The internet is, you can be whatever you want. You can lie. You can lie. You know that.
I don't like to think of people
Babe.
maliciously, purposefully lying.
In this society and context that we live in which people just lie for their 5 minutes of fame on whatever platform, you don't think that somebody would imagine somebody,
but what are they going to gain from lying?
Dude, she wants to feel seen and loved. Maybe she's single and she's just trying to get some. So 10,000 strangers on Reddit are going to be
telling
like,
her that she's
you
valuable.
go girl, beat the man up, kill his dog. Like she probably feels a lot better now.
Well, then I'm happy for her, I guess.
Don't lie on the internet. I don't know, man. People are just sad, and I feel for them.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be empathetic to the fact that a lot of people are at a point in their life where they're so sad that they can only reach out to like strangers on the internet.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
It makes me want to go hug some people.
But it's like, did we do this? Did we create did we create a society?
No, did you and I create a society?
Did I sit in my lab and be like,
Did I personally create?
I want sad people to post online so I can laugh at them. No, I didn't,
You didn't engineer that person.
But I do think like with the distance of, like social media was supposed to bring us all closer, but it's only made us further apart.
Yeah.
And I feel like now people are clinging on to whatever they can for any type of human interaction, even if it's not real, even if it's fake.
Yeah.
Sad. Man. I don't know. Well, if we still have fans after this podcast, a lot of dog lovers are not going to be happy with me at the end of this one.
Oh, well.
Listen, I don't really care. I just don't. Humans are more important than dogs.
Yes. That doesn't mean that dogs aren't great.
Sure.
But people are better than dogs.
I don't know what else to say about that.
I don't know.
You got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Life's been good?
I did not have to wear a mask at work today.
Wow. 3 years later.
Yep. COVID is over.
Officially over.
Well,
I mean, yeah.
The public health emergency
is over.
Over.
But
masks were optional today.
There's still not a lot, but there's a good handful of people that wear the mask to the gym.
Mm-hmm. And some of the staff was wearing masks. It's their option, but I mean, I'm fully vaccinated, and I don't have COVID.
COVID-free since 2020.
Yeah, you never had it.
Never. I'm still knock on all the wood, but I'm still. I don't know. Maybe I did, and I just didn't know.
You might have.
There were always those cases.
You didn't have a reason to ever have to take a test I did.
I tested when I felt run down a couple of times, but it was always negative. So maybe I was just tired.
The one time I actually had COVID, I had no symptoms.
Yeah.
I just had to sit my butt at home.
That was so weird.
Yeah, for 7 days.
What a weird disease.
Terrible. Yeah.
Anyway,
but it's over. So that was really great, actually. I'm having an awesome day.
Well, I'm sure that helps you do your job a little bit better.
Made it a lot easier.
I remember when we got to take the masks off at the gym, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, that was like...
I couldn't hear... I work with a lot of people with English as a second language.
Yeah.
And so their accent was already pretty thick. Mm-hmm. And then you put the mask on top of that.
Makes
I was like,
hard.
dude, I can't understand a word. I'm very sorry. I'm doing my best. Yeah. I'm going to ask you 7 times to clarify your statement.
Well, and imagine how people who are hard of hearing felt like that all the time.
Well, so my go-to in an interaction is I'm going to ask you to clarify yourself 1 time.
And then I'm just going to nod.
And then I'm just going to be like, yep.
I hear you.
let me just pray that it's something I can answer in the affirmative, because if it's not, I'm not asking you to clarify again.
Well, you know what? If it's not the interaction, if you've responded incorrectly, the interaction's over at that point.
It's like, what'd you say? Oh yeah, that's my go-to. It's just, oh yeah. So you could say like anything you wanted, and I'd just be like, man. Why is that so weird to just say, I'm sorry, I can't hear you? I've done that a couple of times, and it is just so awkward.
You know, there were a couple of times where I lied and I said I was hard of hearing.
No way.
Yeah, because a lot of times it would be at work. So it would be like somebody telling me something important.
Wow.
And like sometimes I feel like I have some auditory processing stuff.
Well, my hearing's bad.
Yes, your hearing is bad. But yeah, sometimes like sometimes I
oh, your processing is off.
I feel like my processing is off sometimes. But the easiest way to say that is
Yeah, you can't.
I have trouble hearing.
You can't.
I can't say.
I have auditory processing issues. Could you please repeat?
I have some neurodivergent sensory needs, and I also have some difficulty with auditory processing in times of great stress.
And
could you be a little louder?
Just blank face staring at you like.
It's just easier to say. Sorry, I'm a little hard of hearing in my left ear. Would you mind saying that a little louder?
That's so funny.
I feel like that's a white lie that really isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's one of the. Who cares?
Yeah.
You're not like trying to get disability payments because you can't hear. You just be like, hey, can you please repeat yourself?
I'm just trying to learn some important medical information that's going to help me provide a safe and appropriate treatment to a person.
Dude. Oh my God.
But yeah, I did. And
funny.
I said that only once or twice. It wasn't, whatever.
I need to bring that one out.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt anyone.
The problem is like I have built such a relationship with my clients that if like 6 months in, I'm like, hey, I'm hard of hearing.
Yeah, you can only do it with new people.
Could you repeat that?
I try to only do it with people that I'm never going to see again.
Yeah, that's the way. But meanwhile, I would do that with like people I see on a weekly basis. And they'd be like, how's your ears? And I'm like,
what are you talking about?
Miraculous recovery, actually. I can hear everything now.
Hallelujah.
Dude. Oh, that's so
But yeah,
funny.
no, I did do that one. It's like, sorry, my left ear really gives me trouble. Could you say that a little louder?
Oh,
and then they do. And then I
you're all
understand what they say. Or sometimes if I was really lucky, they'd pull their mask down.
There you go. Mm-hmm. That was the move.
Yeah.
Well, people just got fed up with like repeating themselves. So at some point it was just, like they would just scream at you and you'd be like, oh yeah, thank you. I got it. Thank you.
Those days are past us. I went upstairs wearing a surgical mask to treat some patients. And I kind of noticed that like, wow, nobody's really wearing a mask.
Wow.
So I asked one of the nurses and she was pushing her med cart and there's always a little trash can on the side of the cart. I was like, hey, do I have to wear this? And she goes, girl, no, those are optional now. And I said, you're joking. She's like, no, man, you can take it off. I'm like, oh yeah. I take it off and I spiked it into her trash can. I was so excited. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, it was great. Girl, no, that's optional.
It's really dark.
It looks like it's about to rain.
It's going to be a dark episode because we only have one light now. Because I'm making these green screen videos, which nobody likes.
I think they're fun.
Truly my favorite type of content to make. And when I tell you, I got to tell this story.
Okay.
Man, this is a long episode. Sorry, guys. If you're still here, basically Sarah and I are just having a conversation between ourselves. If you're still watching,
we're just talking about our day
you're a real
now.
one. I think we were going to lose the majority of the audience during the dog rant.
Probably.
So you and I are just having a conversation. Right. I was talking to Sarah a couple days ago because, as you know, I'm trying to put out a short or a YouTube reel or a YouTube short every day. And I had a run of like 3 Instagram reels that had done really well. Mm-hmm. Now, really well for me is like 1,500 views.
But that's pretty good.
It's good. Yeah, I was very excited about it. And the kiss of death, I sat down and I said, I think I've cracked the code.
I think I've finally figured out Instagram.
I said those words specifically.
You should have never said that.
And then the next day, I uploaded my worst performing piece of content since I started doing content. Since I had no idea what I was doing. It got 87 views. 87 views. Which is like, might as well be zero. I think I got 3 likes. Me, you, and my mom. That was it. And it was one of the green screen videos, which are just so fun to make. And I just like...
And I think they're so creative and fun. I don't know.
I can't keep doing these sensationalized talking head. The stuff that does well on Instagram, the hopping on trends or the... here's this authority figure, this is why you should never listen to them. I don't do those. They're stupid. I don't like them. Yeah. They make me feel icky and gross.
Well, I feel like it's important to do what feels authentic to you.
Exactly. If I started hopping on a bunch of these like dance trends or whatever, people would be like, what the hell are you doing?
Personally, I would love to see you do a dance trend.
Maybe. Listen, if we get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I'll do 10 dance trends. I'll do whatever.
All right. You heard it here first.
Anyway, so then I posted another one the day after, also one of the worst performing reels. So
it turns out you haven't figured out Instagram.
Turns out I have not cracked the code.
Oh,
but it's
bummer.
Crazy. Like it truly feels like a crapshoot every time you post something online because you can do all the research on the algorithm and all that stuff. And I think I know, obviously they want content that's going to keep people on the platform. So it has to be engaging. It has to be interesting. But like, I feel like the content that I put out is engaging and interesting.
Sure.
So then what's the difference between this one and this one? Because a green screen reel has done very well on my channel before, and then it hasn't done very well on the same channel. I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
I'm telling you, it's just a roll of the dice.
Well, I certainly don't post anything on my Instagram.
Yeah, when was the last time you posted something on Instagram?
Hurricane Irma.
2017. Goodness gracious.
Maybe it's time.
Well, you need to start posting about the podcast.
I do. I'm sorry.
No, I mean this with no offense, but you posting about the podcast is not going to help grow this podcast.
Oh, no. I don't think I show up in anybody's feed.
With all the love and respect that you deserve, we are
Thank
not
you.
social media people.
No.
Which is why this experiment that I'm doing is just like, I could hop on a bunch of trends and start making sensationalized claims. And I think that I have the voice. Like I was just screaming about dogs for 15 minutes. I think I have the voice to be entertaining enough that people would watch that.
Yeah.
But like we said, it's not authentic to who I am.
You're
going to
be true to yourself.
And my specifically, it's not authentic to my views on the fitness industry. I don't think, first of all, I don't think short form fitness content works in any way, shape, or form anyway. You know,
as your only source.
There you go. But I think it's useless. And then second of all, I'm not going to start like screaming at The Rock or like, you know, I'm not going to go shirtless into a grocery store and be like, this has red food dye. It's going to kill you. We already have enough problems. We don't need more misinformation being thrown around.
Yeah.
All right. This is the longest podcast we've ever done. It's an hour and 3 minutes.
Oh my God.
Thank you guys for watching. If you're still here, you are truly a real fan.
That's right.
If you made it through the dog rant.
That's right.
I might just call this episode the dog rant. I might. All right. You guys have a good rest of your week.
Yeah.
We're going to keep putting stuff out, even though it makes me sad.
It doesn't make you sad. Look at that smile.
It doesn't make me sad. I like doing it.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Love you.
Love ya.
Bye.